Hey, and welcome back to GT86. Thanks for showing up again. No little jaunts over to the States this time, just staying in the garage, I'm afraid. And as you can probably tell, more wiring, but this time for a good reason, because I haven't got a stereo in the... And I'll talk about the other bits that I've got as well, the reversing camera and the dashboard camera. And hopefully it will be an interesting video. But there will be some cable running, I know. For my cable runners out there, get some excitement up. There will be some involuntary reading of manuals. And there will probably be a little bit of customizing settings on this. Because, for example, I want to put a startup screen, something kind of similar to that, or that, one of the two, just so when it does start up it's a little bit more momentous than Kenwood. But time will tell how it goes, really. So let me start you off by running you through this loom that I've made and then testing it. So back here again then, really, with more wiring, but I want to kind of get through this one quickly because I'm sure you're all sick of wiring, and I know I'm sick of wiring. So this one really is because I've got the Kenwood head unit, the DDX920WDABS, which I got from Australia. And to go in with it, I've also got the DRV-N520, which is the forward-facing camera, and also this bit of cardboard is just because the box isn't here anymore, the CMOS-740HD rear view camera. Now, with any wiring, with any stereo install, there's always a lot of wiring, and there's always a lot more than you anticipate there's going to be. So you've got your obvious ones, which lead to the standard factory connectors in the dash, which I'll show you in a little bit. But with this one as well, you also need this adapter to turn into a signal in the back of the head unit that it can read for radio, non-digital radio. So that comes off this main Kenwood plug, and you can see I've just spliced it there into the blue wire, so that's just kept in one piece. Then this whole bunch of connections over here with the yellow go to the reversing camera, I believe, because you got that yellow connector there which matches up. No, hang on, that must be the front facing camera, I think. And then you've got another one here which is for the rear facing camera, because on the back, if you can actually see, you've got three. So you've got one that says rear view, you've got one that says dash, and you've got one that says video out. So I believe this one, you've got that little connector that goes there to dash cam, and this one therefore goes to that one on dash cam as well. So what that one needed, as you can see from the loom coming off, is the one connector there, which just goes to here. And then rather than trying to chase a yellow, a black and a red, so an ignition, a live and neutral, you can just run them straight into the three that exist on here. So black to black, yellow to yellow, red to red, and they're all straight into the factory loom. And then this one is the one that just connects into the back of the stereo there. But that isn't quite where the fun ends, because you've got these two USB ones which are optional, I guess. If you want to connect your phone to them, for example, you get a yellow and a grey, a black and a grey cable which you can use for them. You've also got the mic here for if you're wanting to use the phone when you're connected to it. But also one thing that this one needs, probably lesser now with the updates in CarPlay, but it asks for a speed sensor, a handbrake sensor, and a reverse. That one's pretty obvious, so it knows when to activate the reversing camera. But they need to connect to those 3 points in the car. So what I've done is I've used one of these, which is the same as the 28-pin Starlink connector, which is in the car. And I have put into that the reverse, the parking the handbrake, and the speed sensor, and then got a positive one of these and wired them into the same place. So it's in the same location as it would be on the Starlink connector, but being Japanese, it has far less stuff than the American ones do. So I'll just go grab my phone and I'll show you that in the car, and also show you where these other two go to, which are the reverse and the speed sensor and the parking handbrake. Now I'll bring that loom in a sec just so you can see where it all goes, but this was the one I was talking about here. So what I've actually done is, this was the Starlink connector, which normally has like around about 20 wires in it, but as you can see there's only 4 or 5 on that one. So I've taken this one, which is the speed sensor, and I've taken it from that connector and put one into this, because I didn't want that one to be ruined and have to fiddle about with it at all. And then you've got the reverse one here, and this greeny grey one is the handbrake cable. So what I've done, rather than cutting into the existing loom too much and just making them potentially a hazard, previously we had that red wire run down there in the footwell. I've tapped off to that for the reversing one, because that's the one we knew worked for the mirror. And for the speed sensor, obviously it's here. And for the handbrake sensor, that cable runs under here to the wire that connects to the parking brake. So I'll just put a couple of pictures up so you can see, and then I'll grab that loom and I'll show you what these bits all connect to. Bear me a sec. So obviously the cables need a little bit of tidying up, but just to give you the gist, this one here connects to this one here, which is one of your standard original factory loom wires. That one just clicks into there like that. This is the other one that's your standard one, which I think is for like the rear speakers and all that sort of business. And that one goes to this one here. Then this one goes to the stereo. This blue one here connects to this one just here, and then that makes your aerial. That connects it to the aerial for the car. So when it's got a power source from that, it knows to activate. This whole lot runs to the head unit. So it's a lot of wire to only go a very short distance, but hey. And then this was the one that I was talking about, and that one just connects to this new one that I've added in, just in there like that. And then hopefully, I think I might have this upside down. I don't know. Yes. And then hopefully once all that's connected, then the stereo should fire up. I guess I should give it a try before I get too far into it. So wish me luck. So roughly neatened up in there, because I only really need this one. to connect to the back of the stereo just to see if it powers on and that it doesn't explode. So got the stereo here. Let me just pop it down, this phone down for a sec and just plug it in. And I've just pushed that all back into the dash. And as you can see, this screen's come up. So that's encouraging. So yeah, I haven't got anything plugged in, obviously, so not going to get any stations, not going to get anything like that. But the screen works. The buttons seem to turn on. Can't smell any burning. So, you know, that's a good start to the job. What I do need to action now is running the wiring for the front facing camera, which will go from like behind the dash along the top and then up the pillar to here. And I'll try and tuck it all up into that mirror area there so it's a little bit neater. Hopefully I can get a second one into that little cover there. And then the other version is going to run a similar route to the previous reversing camera, obviously connecting at the head unit and then running down the side to the back, and then the wiring will go into the boot lid and have the camera hanging out the back. I will probably use the same hole that the previous person used just for now. Further down the line I might try and get a one without an ugly hole in it, but you know, it will do the job for now. So if you haven't seen me talk about it before, I mean, that's not opening, but you can see it under here anyway. So that hole just there. Obviously can't get too central because we've got the lights there and the button there. So as much as I don't like how big that hole is, it does kind of make sense. So take it from there, I guess. I'm going to start this part of the install by doing all the bits that need to be done for the head unit to run. So that's your DAB cable, microphone cable, and then this one here, which is the sorry, that was GPS, sorry. This one's your digital aerial. So this one's got a weird connector. Once you pull this little popper off, it's that little bronzy coloured bit there, which just fits just under here. See that white connector just there? That's where that fits. You've got the microphone right next to it. It's the black little hole just here. And the GPS one just goes into this big one that's strangely named GPS. But that one you can actually do off the car, because what you can do, because this says to put somewhere flat, facing upwards, can put it on the dashboard. But if you don't particularly want to see it, because it's not the most handsome thing, you can just stick it to the top of the unit like that. I've seen them do that on a lot of installs. And then that, I mean, you've got a huge amount of wiring, of course, but then that's that one done. And then I will show you how to do the other two. The microphone, not too difficult really. Just gonna probably run the cable up and sit it somewhere here, maybe. I could always put it up here, but you don't, I suppose you don't really want it to interfere too much with the airbag. So yeah, it might just go just down here somewhere. I suppose once you've looked at it for long enough, you don't even really notice it's there. And then the DAB aerial will go on that side of the window down here. It will just run down here somewhere, and then the cabling goes underneath there, and then again all the way back to here. So I'll get those ones done first. I'll get the camera set up for that. And then after that, we'll do the other two, which are the dash cam, which might well go up on this sticker up here. And as we said before, obviously the reversing camera. Didn't really feel like the mic needed much explanation, so I've just set it off center like that. So hopefully you won't notice it so much when you're looking at the dash. But I've just stuck it just on this piece here. And if you put your hand in the back here, you can see there's your finger there, and then you just run that cable in through there and then pull it out through here, and that's one of the easier ones. And then you've just got your headphone end just to go in the back of the stereo when we get there. I'll probably tie that all back up because that's a lot of slack it probably doesn't need. Right, so as you can see, I've already taken this off, and this actually had a system like this before. Had 4 of them along the top of the windscreen. This one's only got the 1, but I don't know if you can see it, but there are little black tabs on here, so you can run the cable and then down into here along to the top of the dash. But the first part of it is fitting this one here. So I'm not sure how well it comes up, but I've put some masking tape on the windscreen there to show me where it's got to sit, because it does specify it needs to be 70mm away from the edge of the trim, like that, so that when you put this on, you've still got some space for the metal, this earthing tab, to touch the panel there. Now I've taken that off though, I think I might change it. First things first, I'll just do a quick video on this as well from here. So you've got your aerial, it's got your 1 and 2 here, and that is what that little black trim bit sits on, like that. So first thing you got to do, peel the 1, and then that takes the backing off. But I'm just going to give the windscreen a quick wipe, and then I'll get it on there. And just make sure it's dry. Keep turning this towel over. Right, so peel the backing off like that, and then I will attempt to get my lines to match up. Nice. Right, push that all down. Take the masking tape off. And then with this secondary one, you have to take the backing off that. And there's 2 little connectors just here, and then that matches up to that little rectangle there, and then the other bit of the 3M tape comes across and touches onto the metal part of the chassis just there. black mount added. Now if you just take the 3M off the back, smooth it along the windscreen and just wrap it onto the paintwork like that. And then sadly you get a massive amount of cabling as per usual, which you just unwrap like that. And then I'm just gonna follow the lines that were there before for this cabling. Always best to ensure as well, if you've got a car like this where it's got an airbag in here, which is this white sack here, that you go behind it. So if it does for any reason go off, hopefully it doesn't, that you're not in the way of it. Where's the end? There. So I'll just tuck that behind, pull it through, and then I've got one more just down here, which should keep it all nice and neat. And then that goes down there into the depths of beyond behind here. So yeah, and then you can just pull it through, all out the way like that, get that loop out of it, and then again run it under there, under here, and out the middle of the dashboard. And then that's the DAB aerial run. I cheated while I had all that off as well, and I've installed this little camera just up here, run the cable just above there and just slotted it in along there. So you can see it's this big chunky boy here, which obviously comes through into this stupidly large loom, but it's all just the same procedure. I must admit I dropped the dash a bit just so I could get a little bit easier access to running the cables through, but nothing troublesome there at all. Just a bit of tidying and putting it all back, and then I can work on the rear view. And then when that's all back together, it looks just like that. So no cables hanging down from there to the camera, and that's all you see from there, which from the outside looks kind of weird, but it's a good payoff, I guess, for digital radio. I was figuring out the camera there and realised I'd missed one, because we've got the rear view camera there, which will run through the car to the back, which has this screw-on connection here, which mates to that one. They screw together. But then what I was expecting to see was at the back there'd be like a little red wire, which was the live for the reverse. But the reversing wire is actually in the loom for the stereo. So it's one of these, can't remember which. It's one of these ones, which I've wired into that extension there. So don't need the reverse. What it does need instead is this little connection here. If you've got your yellow one there that goes into the rear camera on this, and then this little connection here needed to be soldered into the loom as well. So you've got this 2 amp fuse here, and just use the red and the black wire, and if you follow them along, they then just go into this little box here, which is called a Kenwood power unit, and then that just has the connection on the end which that other unit goes to. So that's all the wiring done now, with the exception of running obviously the cable in to the back. But I've got a new one of these coming through, so I'm going to use that rather than the one with the hole in, and then should be able to put this in really eventually. Oh, I have also got coming, because I don't smoke, and I don't think many of us do in my generation. So what I'm gonna do instead is use the one down here. Gonna remove that, and instead I'm gonna run a USB-C cable that will connect to the back of the stereo into this grey unit, so that I can run CarPlay straight into there, have my phone out of sight. So all flexibility, no visibility, I guess. Got a couple of bits come through. This was the USB-C that was going to replace the cigarette lighter. Got this from the States on Amazon. I think that was about 12 quid, so that's nice. I'll take out that one I suggested and put that in. And my good friend Jay came through again and found me this on the Japanese auctions. I was worried if it was the same colour, but I think that's the same reds. Looks good to me, and more importantly, no whacking great hole down the side there. So next job's really, I guess then, is run the last bit of cable in for that over there, so that then that can come up into the CarPlay one here. And I've got to take that off and swap the lights out from underneath onto this and the lock. It's already got the connection for the switch there. And I don't know if it will show up on camera, but you can kind of see a shape there for where the camera can go. So I will definitely make a better job than the last person did, because that seems a little bit excessive to me for a small camera. But let's see how we get on. You've seen this come out too many times, so I didn't think I'd show that again. But to remove it, it's all underneath here. So there should be a couple of clips, and then that should come out, and that just connects to this plug right here, which probably not going to be needing right now. So I'll just tape it up to that, so it's not going to go anywhere. Let's have a look. I think I might just need both hands and a screwdriver. I'll show you how I get on. So it took just a little bit of brute force, and then pinching that pin and that pin inwards, used some grips, and then just gave it a tap on this bottom half, and off it popped. So that was pretty easy. Let me just see if I can do anything with this lid, because I kind of prefer this one to the one that the thing came with, which was just a rubbery one, but I don't know, probably. Well, that went better than expected. If you see the little holes there, one just here, one just here, if you stick a small screwdriver on the inside, then it pops these little tangs off, and you can put it on there instead. Now it's a bit of a tighter fit, I'm not gonna lie, but it does shut. It does pop open quite easily. And I think that just looks a little bit cleaner than the one it came with, which is kind of like a rubbery concoction. This. So just got to put it back in now, which is quite a simple thing really. You've just got these threads. Oh no, probably easier now because I can just clip it in with this. Oh yeah, I won't have to use that because, well, not that I could because it goes up to there anyway, but that's not coming out of there. All right, let me see if I can just push it in. And a little bit of brute force later, there it is, just sitting in there quite nicely. And I prefer that to a cigarette lighter. But it did, it just pushed in like I thought. And then this is actually USB-C, so if you've got a newer stereo, you can just pop that on to the back. But as this has got USB-A in the box, it comes with an adapter which converts it to USB-A. So that will just pop in that grey plug there for CarPlay or the black one for Android Auto. So I'll just run this back up under the dash, get this whole thing back together yet again, and should be good. And that's all back together. And there it is there, just a USB cable. And obviously that in there now. So I can USB-C all the time without having to worry about a blooming adapter plug. So this colossal collection of wiring. So you've got all this loom here, all these long old cables here, and this one for the DAB aerial. I've all got to find a space in there. But I've just got the one more thing to run, which involves that new rear panel, which is this cable here. So let's get to it. So I couldn't go with the standard panels to go back in the car. I mean, it is a TRD after all, so I had to bring something a little special. But just to again show just how long I store stuff for, Good University Guide 2019. So hopefully they look as good as they did when I last looked at them in 2019. Let's have a look. That's like pass the parcel, this, isn't it? Aha. There we go. TRD. And this actually is, well, it's dry carbon stuck over the standard panel. As you can see, you've probably got the same reference numbers as you've got on the normal one there. And it definitely says Subaru made in Japan, even with the TRD logo. And just to finish it off, this one Best Laid Plans is always doing this one-handed, so cut to this part instead. So then this is your other half. Oh, thank God for that. They made the weave line up. That would have been an issue. But yeah, I mean, they don't look massively different to the originals. If I just grab one, put it up next to it to show you. But these ones are printed, as you can see. It's just like a wrap around it, whereas this is actually a dry carbon fibre sheet that is bonded to the outside of it. And obviously, if you've got a TRD, you've got to pop them in. Next is this bit. So this is the one that goes to the connection on the back of the stereo, and this one goes into that little power supply there that runs into the adapter for the harness. So first I've got to run this up behind the dash where all the other stuff goes, and then obviously again it will come out here, and then the other end of it, this one, connects to this bit here, and then that connects everything together and should be able to go for a test. But to actually run this cable down, what I've got to do as well sorry, is take off these two panels here, which will let it run down to here, and then I've got to take off this, take out this lower bench and this panel here, and then I'll be able to run it into the boot. I knew I should have brought a drink down here. Oh well, too late now. So anyway, what I'm going to try and do, run this over here with a bit of extra length, and hopefully should be able to, there we go, pull that bit through, and there's the secondary one there. So I'll give myself a bit of play, and then let's go. It would always be helpful if you did everything in one go, wouldn't it? Because again, I've got to take out that panel at the back. Where is it? Oh, it's just a pop stud, that's okay. Ow. Pull that one out. Don't drop the camera. And then this one here, which I'll need to take all the way back. It's just a bit of brute force on that one. And then this one should now come out. Yeah, there we go. And then I can just run this down this plastic channel here, and then that'll take me out through that panel just down there into the back. So I'll have to just clear some of this stuff out the front and get that to a stage where I can show you. I noticed once you took the rubber trim off, which you need to do to get access to the back anyway, you can actually lift this panel up, and then you've got the actual looms just down there that run along. So they should be quite easy to tie wrap to. But unfortunately my lamp just ran out of charge. Sorry about that, I just realised it wasn't recording. But to take the rear bench out, you've got these one fixing screw at the front, which is a 10mm that just fits down here. And then you see this black trim piece on here. Once you lift the front up on this, if you push down round about there in the middle, it just pushes that off. And then that can go out the way. Then there's one popper just down there. And then this whole side pulls away. And then you can probably just about see some daylight at the back. And that follows through to here, where there's a couple of poppers, and I should just be able to run the wiring through there and just tie wrap it to this loom up here, which then obviously, as we know, goes back up there. So I'll need both hands for that, so I'll do it and then I'll show you it all neat and tidy afterwards. Not put back together, but so you can see how it's all run and where I've tie wrapped it. First things first, we're switching this one over, is taking this one out. Now I made that slightly more difficult for myself with this Perrin handle, but you know, it's only one extra screw. Take that out, and then we got the same poppers here to take off. They're pretty easy, just with your fingers. You don't really need a tool for this. And one more in the middle. There we go. Put that out of the way. Right, now you've got up here, because I'm going to have to take obviously all the ones you can see here. So there's one just there which is blocked by this. There's a pop clip here. 1, 3 there and down there as well. So I'm gonna need a 10mm by the look of it, and that also includes these two which have the locking mechanism in just there, which are these two at the end. So let me grab a 10mm socket. Well, I say 10mm, let's check. 10 is here. Oh no, they're smaller than that. Let's go down to 8. 8mm. So I'm going to take these lights. Oh wait, I won't do it like that because I can see they've added aftermarket lamps in there, so I don't want to play with those. Instead, you see how to take, there we go, take those connections out. Easier to see on this one. It's just a connection like that with just a push tang there, and then it doesn't matter which one you start with really, they're all coming out. Let's try not to lose these in the boot. Quite long actually. There we go, that's 2. One on this side, just here. That's that one off. And 2 more over here that hold the locking mechanism in place. It's that one. And this one over this side. Are there any more? I can see that grey one there. Ah, there we go. Is there one this side as well? Should only be that one. I've undone those. Maybe it's just, there we go. It was just a bit of brute force. And then the other thing I've got to disconnect, where does it go? Is this one here for the push button underneath, which comes down there. And in this one isn't connected. Ah, that would explain why it doesn't work then, I suppose. Pull that out. That's that. I'll probably take a second to clean that up as well while it's off. But pretty good match on the red. Could probably do with a cut and polish, but hasn't got that whacking great hole on the underside like this one. Let's go back to the bench. Now what I've worked out on here, it's probably quite difficult to see, but there was like a bulge shape that showed where the standard camera would go, and then this bracket can then just sort of fall into that position there. What I worked out was from the front here to the straight line, you could probably just see that curve swage there, was 33mm here, 35mm here. So I halved it, 17.5, 16.5, drew a line between and worked out it was 15.5 into the middle. Now the bit going through it is this little connection here, which is connected to the camera, and that only really needs about an 8mm hole. So I've set the Christmas tree bit, I've moved the tape so that it's at 8mm, but I don't want to go straight in with that, so I've gone slightly smaller here with a 3mm. So just work my way slowly. Not a particularly great drill bit, I think you'll agree. I think it is slowly going through. There we go. So now I can take the tape off. And it's not quite centered, as you can see. That drill bit did not want to make a nice cut. So I might try and just move it a little bit to the left. Whereas that one goes in. Lovely. Let me just try this, make sure it fits. No, not quite. So let's step that up one notch. Give it a few buzzes and then hopefully that should go in now. Yes, there we go. And then this bracket will just fix onto that like that, with the cable coming through, and then I can adjust it to make the camera the right position. What I did end up having to do once I fed the cable through was notch it slightly to be a bit more like a key shape, because when this fits on there like so, if it didn't have the flexibility to rotate up, then I wouldn't be able to mount the camera. So as you can see there, that's got a little bit more of an angle that you're hoping for, and then I can angle it down, angle it up, whatever I need to do. But obviously what I'm trying to do is get the line of the bumper in the camera lens so that when I reverse I know that the bumper sticks out more than the lip underneath, so I know where to be careful. Now it suggests what to do is to take that off like that and just lightly stick it in place. So I'm going to try and do that, trying to get it straight, and then I will put the little retaining screws. Where's the screwdriver gone? Oh, it's probably in the boot. Yeah. The little retaining screws that go into the side of the bracket and into one of the two holes that are in the side of the camera. So I think I'm going to go for this one at the bottom because that gives me more of a angle to tilt up, but obviously it is something I can change on the car if needed. Get that one started. And then I'll twist it slightly like that. First things I noticed, Kenwood's supposed to be pointing upwards. Scrap that, let's turn it round. I guess because otherwise then it'll be upside down on the picture, won't it? So let's flip that like that. Back to stage one. Right, got that one started. Got that one started too. So let's just nip them up slightly. And I can angle it like that. And then if you can see, there are just two screw holes just above the camera line there, which once you got it all figured out, you just got another screw that you can just screw it in so that this bracket, not that it's under a lot of tension, but shouldn't pop off. So let me get this back onto the car and I'll show you the cable running route, because it's got to go obviously from the boot lid into the boot and then run along into the cabin. But first things first, let's get this back on. This hole here that had the previous cable going through it didn't have a grommet in it, and it also didn't have any weatherproofing. So I've grabbed the 3M stuff that I used when I put the tail lights in. I'm just going to put a little blob of it just onto here. Obviously that's way too much, but I've got a damp cloth on hand for when I get absolutely filthy now trying to squeeze this grommet into that hole. But at least we should know that it has been weatherproofed. Just trying to work it round. That was a 13mm hole that it asked to cut, so I used one of the sort of Christmas tree drill bits, which look like that. It only went up in even numbers, so I only went to 12 and a little bit more, somewhere in between. So wasn't quite 14, that's why it didn't slip in exactly. But then again, it wasn't quite 12, so it wasn't too tough. But there we go. So that's in there now, that's sealed. And then I can just push the cable out of that for the camera. Now, you may have seen that I've already put the fish wire through so that I can run it down the boot lid to the grommet down there, which I'll show you in a second. But first things first, I'm going to run this through that grommet. That's had enough time to dry now, I would have thought. Oh, there we go. And then I'll pull this through so that I've got the ability to put this back on the boot lid. And then that brown one, which was the boot release, which I noticed wasn't connected, that can go through that top bit, and there's a grommet for that as well. Look, I'll just bring it down so you can see. You've got a grommet here for that push, and there's my new grommet there for the camera. And then it's a case of just lining all the fixings up with where they were before. There's one push one there, as we talked about before as well. So before I get too into it, let me zoom out a touch. I'm going to put the locking bit back, which also has a grommet on, not a grommet, a gasket. So let's make sure that's sitting right. Well, I've got that accessible. I'm just going to give that a clean because it is gross. It was just a bit of WD-40 and just obviously a bit of paper towel. That's a bit better. Right, that's not going to hurt it. A bit of overshoot there. So, just making sure that's sitting as well as it can. And then push it behind the spoiler bracket, which yours may not have. And then there we go. And then get these 8mm screws back on. Those started. There's that one there. Not doing any of them up too hard just yet, just in case it needs to move at all. hot one in the garage today. And this one finally just here. Right, so that should be that. But then looking at this, the camera could do with a slight bit of adjustment. So hopefully I can persuade it. There we go. Yeah, that looks a bit better to me. There we go. Right, so then if I zoom out a touch more, tilt it down a bit. There we go. Then you can see here, this is the fish line that's just going through there, and that's also the location that this connection has to go to. So that then ties up with going through the rest of the car. So let me just get a little bit of tape. And what I'll do is I'll just protect the thread with this cloth tape, and I will gently persuade it to come out down there. Now at some point what I might want to do is bring the cable back up and tie it up in here, which is what the previous owner did with the previous camera. But for the time being, all I'm trying to do, if I pull this grommet out as well and feed it into this, trying to make it as straight as possible, is to get it to come out down here. Now obviously the threaded part doesn't particularly help with this, but you can see it just there working its way through. I'm almost past this corner. Now, I could have done this with the fish line as well, couldn't I really? But let's compress that, see if I can get it to pop out this side. Yeah, it feels like it's in there now, so hopefully with a bit of persuasion it should pop out. So I've probably been a little tie wrap happy. So you can see where it comes through there, and then it's tie wrapped out at the back just there in a loop, and then it follows the route, so when that's all tucked away you're not going to see it. And then it's tie wrapped to this cable here, this cable here. The actual bracket the fixing is there to screw it together. And then it's tie wrapped into there, comes up through our replaced grommets, and then fixed up here. So hopefully that shouldn't rattle against the boot. and hopefully this should be fine. But yeah, I won't put all of this back together yet or cut any of the fixings yet, because still got that colossal collection of cables to plug in, test out, organise, etc, etc. Suppose I better grab the head unit and give it a go. So I've got the stereo, I've got the big thick mat to stop it from scratching stuff. So there's a few things I need to connect first. Again, I've got a lot of tidy up to do before I finish this, but this is just to test that it doesn't set on fire and the things work, which would be a big bonus. I'd like that. So aerial connection there, that's the other end of it to go in the back of the stereo. We've got our power supply here for the reversing camera, which marries up to this little clip here, which is also partnered to this substantially longer yellow cable that's got to go in the back. But I'll get to those in a second. I'm just making sure these are all connected first. Here's my little cheap harness that's got hopefully the reverse and all those other connections. And then these ones are your other standard ones, which need to go into there like that. Just trying to figure out if there's anything I've missed so far. That one's not used, and I don't believe that one is either. So if I start by tucking those back a bit, so I've got that one, which will be our aerial connection. That one goes into there like that. Let me get all these on this side. I've got this one, which is ridiculously long, which is the DAB cable, which goes into... Where's that one gone? Oh, so many cables. Take the end off that. That one goes here at the end, like that. Good. Let's pop that cap up there. This is the one that I'll be using for my what's it called? USB-C adapted charger in here, but I need to use this first just to check it's all up to date, and that I want to change the opening screen as well. This is our mic, which goes into there. Then we've got dash cam, which is this little white one that should go in there like that. That's it. And then I should have, there's the USB, but I won't be using that just yet. There's the overall connector, which needs to fit. You can see I need a lot of tidying up in here. Needs to fit into that black plug just there. That should give it all the power. And then the last thing I need to do is the two cameras. So I've got one for dash, one for reverse. So this one here is the reversing camera. So if I put that into there, I'm going to tape these up afterwards, but this is just to test them. Right, that wasn't quite the plan, was it? Let's put that back on there. And then this one goes to this one. Then hopefully that should all be ready to go. I'm just going to shove this all back in here for now. horror story of cables we'll have to get sorted out at some point. Ugh. There we go. Okay, we have some power. Turn that volume down because I don't need that right now. And what I want to test first, if I just bring this up, is that... oh, so much glare, there we go. Camera. Camera assignment settings. Rear view camera. HD. No, that one's NTSC, isn't it? There we go. So look, I can see in front, that's good. Rear view. HD. That's it. I can see the roof because the boot lid is open. That's the one. There's no AV in, so I don't need to worry about that. Oh. Rear camera interruption. I don't know what that is. Yeah, let's worry about that later. But at least it looks like everything's working. So let me get everything tidied up and then I'll set some stuff up. Now, before I get too deep into it, I just want to try and see that the cameras work, because I don't want to put everything back together and then have to take it all apart again. So if I start with reverse. What? That's weird. Totally wasn't expecting that. Oh well, better check the front. What? That's so odd. There's like no one there. He's not on here anymore either. Oh well. At least they work. So let's put it all back together. All back together now. The two screw bolts that side, the two bolts that side, they're both in. If I start it up, I've got a slightly different screen now. Quite pleased with that. Like that more than the standard Kenwood screen. And then everything lights up after you deal with the agreement and stuff. CarPlay's working. Oh, hang on. Oh, I can't do that when it's not on, can I? Let's just check the two cameras. Oh yeah, there you go. There's CarPlay working. Let me check the two cameras. So you got your, where are we? Rear cam. Oh, do we need power for this? Probably. Sorry, it's going to go through all that again now, isn't it? Let's hit that big old agree button. There we go. Right, so if I whack it in reverse. Oh, hang on. Camera. No, not that. Camera. Setup. Camera. Rear. HD. Front. I've plugged them into the wrong ones. That was not the plan. Okay, give me a minute. Right, hopefully sorted. Let's try that again. But what would life be without challenges, eh? So yeah, that screen works nice. Let's click agree on this one. Check both the cameras. God, help if I could speak, wouldn't it? No, settings. Cameras. Camera assignment. Rear view needs to be HD. Right, so rear view HD, yep. And then front NTSC. Obviously the bonnet's up at the moment, so not such a great view, but yeah, that all works. And it's only on NTSC. Excellent. CarPlay works, got that on there. Got your music options as well. And you've also got your menus for the phone as well, if you want to use those. But that is pretty much that, really. Audio wise, hard to do anything really without playing music, and obviously I don't want to get charged for that, but take my word for it, it does play music. And all it is now is just a case of putting these panels back on. So this one just clips on just like that, and then this one clips on just the same way, like that. And look, more TRD stuff in the car. So yeah, I think that's a wrap for this episode. Well, I think that's a wrap. Thanks for sticking with me to this point. Thanks for helping me get that stuff in the car. Just a bit of a relief, really. You never know whether those sort of things are going to work, whether they're going to play out. I bought it second hand, so I didn't know if it was going to even be a working stereo, but all things are good, so no complaints. Just thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, obviously fire them down below. Any comments too, please like and subscribe if you wouldn't mind, and catch you next time. Thanks, guys.